Kristen Wilson is someone I have been blessed to meet and learn from. She's an Akashic Records healer, Reiki master, and Feng Shui expert who holds such feminine wisdom and embodiment. Some values that I hold very highly as a woman, and she's leading a new way in healing past traumas, helping others heal past life traumas, specifically related to anxiety in this lifetime, and bring in more of the beauty and the stillness within the day to day. And some beautiful lines she shared in this episode is not wanting to be limited by her nervous system and getting still to get real with yourself, but also staying curious but not too serious. And that's a bit of the medicine of today's episode. But before we jump into the episode, a word from our sponsors. You know how I always talk about true health? My business is based on true health, not just physical, but mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Well, what if I told you that something as simple as changing your water could be the catalyst for transformation, not just for your health, but also for your financial freedom? I discovered Kangen water in my healing journey, and honestly, it's been a complete game changer. This isn't just any water, it's ionized, antioxidant rich, deeply hydrating, and supports detoxification on a cellular level. Our bodies are over 60% of water, so doesn't it make sense to fuel ourselves with the best? Since switching to Kangen water, I've felt more energized, clear, and deeply connected to my body's natural healing process, and I cannot go a day without it. But here's the thing, this isn't just about health, so it gets even better when I realized that Kangen water isn't just life-changing to drink, but also an opportunity to create financial abundance. I knew I had to share it. It was a win-win. As a distributor, you can earn income simply by helping others reclaim their health and freedom, without relying on a system that keeps us disconnected from true wellness. It's a business model that completely is in alignment with living intentionally, ethically, and abundantly. It isn't too good to be true. So if you're feeling called to up-level your health and create a soul-aligned income stream, let's connect. Whether you want to experience the benefits of Kangen water for yourself or step into the business that supports freedom, wellness, and purpose, I'm here to guide you. Check out the link in the show notes, because when you change your water, you change your life. So much gratitude you're here. Thank you for saying yes.
I'm grateful to be here, Olivia. I love chatting with you. It opens my mind and my heart. So thank you.
I know we touched base on your story, last week now, in terms of how you've come to become a healer, accessing the records, and really embodying the life and not saying no to what you know you deserve. I really want to hear more about that path that you've been on for those listening.
I feel sometimes that there's a resistance in life, and a resistance that can meet us in ways that pull us into the place, the void. And I wish that it was a more peaceful journey here on the earth, but there are definitely blissful heavenly moments, but then there are those moments where we're called by the polarity, by the duality, and by the resistance that becomes the medicine. And before I knew what I know from my time learning about the records, I listened to the chaos and the resistance and thought that that was what life needed to be or was about.
Mm.
And I had lots of great ways of numbing myself from those feelings, those emotions.
Mm.
And I started meditating because the resistance in me was growing to such a degree that it was becoming unmanageable. I was becoming unmanageable to myself.
Mm.
And after, a decade long of cognitive therapy and, my children brought to me the magic of life and the desire as a mother to change and become a better parent, to
Mm.
become present. And whilst I'd done a lot of cognitive therapy, it really wasn't until I started meditating that I found a deeper peace and a connection back to myself.
Mm.
And I started to connect with these beings and these energies that were just magical, incredible, blissful pockets of frequency. And I wanted to know more about that. And having always been intuitive as a child and worked
Mm.
intuitively as a stylist, I was in my meditation, I started to really tap into my third eye, tap into the awakening of my spirit and my soul. And it led me to the Akashic Records. I stumbled upon a podcast or on Spotify and did this meditation where I was guided to go deeper into the records and travel into portals and places in my meditation. And this was like the awareness of meditation can be a place where we go to infinite realms, where
Mm.
as you start to become comfortable with the pain in the body, the pain in the mind,
Mm.
make peace with the pain,
Mm.
and then the stillness.
Mm.
And then as that stillness allowed me to receive more information from God, from source, from spirit, I was then shown where I could travel.
Mm.
And um, it was helping me with the chaos and with the resistance
Mm.
in my life.
Mm.
And that was my dark night of the soul, the awakening to, my the truth of my life, to the point where I was able to see beyond that truth,
Mm.
beyond the earth plane.
Wow. Wow. So really, when you're in your depths, that void that you mentioned at the start, the darkness, that opened you to your light, your guides, your team, the higher realms. And I loved what you said around becoming comfortable with pain in the body and mind, and also honoring resistance as a call for awakening and expansion and leaning into that. Mm.
Yeah, I think as we befriend our fear, we unlock the potentiality that we really are as human beings,
Yeah.
as consciousness having a human experience.
Mm. Mm.
A lot of fear in being human, and I totally get it. Like there's a point where you we're presented with a choice around that fear.
Mm.
When my son was diagnosed with diabetes,
Mm.
I was on my knees with fear. Oh wow, I had I could not function with that fear. I had to choose, because when you're a parent and your child is faced with a life-threatening illness, the mind wants to take over and go running down that pathway looking for a million ways to save them, to protect them. And, I have so much respect for fear now, because I see that it either stops us in our tracks or it teaches us something.
Can it be both?
Absolutely. Because I've and to look at the medicine and the blessings of what we can perceive as a tragedy, or we can perceive as, it's all about how we look at something in our lives. And he will have a different perspective on this, and I'm very conscious of that. But I see how my children move through their pain, their fear, and how I bring that to them, or how I become conscious and aware of it, so that I can bring something different. So, I guess that's what life teaches us, to either jump and fly, or retreat and go back into needing more time. It's expansion and contraction, isn't
it? I love that you've said that, because it's an area I've been contemplating on, that, the principle that we expand and contract, just like the ocean, the waves come and go, and the moon expands into her fullness, and then new moon is more of the contraction before expanding again, the sun rising and setting. I see it in nature's cycles. And then as a woman too, right? Our menstrual cycle, for those who still have their period, that's another way of expanding when you're ovulating, and then contracting when you're bleeding. But what I've been contemplating on has been, do we do that? How do I say this in a better way? Energetically, as energetic beings, the more I've tapped into more of myself and my multidimensionality, all my parts, and accessing more of my guides and the records as well, I find that we're in a constant state of expansion when we've stabilized the energy. And we can say what we tell our clients in terms of integration, rest. I like the word stabilization though, because it feels really anchoring. But the more we do this work, we continue to grow and expand our nervous systems, our bodies, to hold more energy and light and love. Then when I bring in the expansion contraction phase, it feels like it's another part of us, like maybe it's a more human realm that aligns to. I don't know if you're following, but it's something that I'm still uncovering, because I used to use contraction expansion probably more as a way to play it safe, actually, like to keep small, maybe as an excuse. When I feel spiritually, energetically, it's like allowing myself to feel my whole self in all the many ways. And that's really opened my mind. So it's actually changed how I hold myself, and my love for myself, and my boundaries, and my choices, and what I say yes and no to, by knowing I'm that being. So yeah, maybe in your eyes those two principles don't relate. But I'm curious.
Completely, because in Feng Shui, we look at yin and yang.
Yes.
Okay, and the lightness and the dark, and the different relationships with both. And contraction used to be something that I judged, being really honest, because I thought that that's where I was sad, and those feelings were uncomfortable, and that's where the darkness was, and where I needed to be free of that. That's the spiritual bypassing that we can easily become trapped in, because we want to stay in the expansion, in the yang. Okay, so in Feng Shui, it's yin and yang. So the yin, feminine, gentle, coming inwards, the void, and the yang, the masculine, the bright, the sun, the fire, and yin might be the darkness and the water, or the moon and the sun. Okay, so the opposing forces that you're talking about, observing in nature, that are within us, that to be all of one, all yang, all expansion, is not to be in harmonious balance. To be all yin, to be all inward and within that tender void, is be all of that is not in balance. So we're here to experience both. And it's interesting, this week my soul is wanting to really understand the pain of life as separation from source. Where am I not loving myself? What part of me is not feeling loved and safe in this moment? And we can be having this incredible soul expansion because we're always connected to source, and yet as multidimensional beings having a human experience with all our lives occurring simultaneously, there are aspects and fragments of our soul that need retrieval, that need to come back to oneness and connection to source. And isn't that the human experience of feeling disconnected and connected, disconnected and connected? So it's a dance that we do. And I'm in awe of this year being this yinward snake kundalini year, because, the energy is moving down through the crown, our connection to source, coming down through the body to the base chakra, where it's like, hello, are there any aspects within your base chakra? Are you feeling safe? Are you feeling held? Are you feeling supported? And if you're not, I'm going to activate that, because then I'm going to come straight up to your crown chakra, and on it goes. And this is the year of embodiment of this process. It's huge.
Amen, sister. And as you were speaking, and thank you for being a beautiful mirror back to my contemplation of expansion and stabilization. What was interesting is last year was one of the toughest years I've experienced, and that was one of the first sessions I had with you where all the healing came through, and me breaking out of a system I was in for 11 years, a psychology system, which was, one of the most difficult decisions I've had to make so far in my career. And once that came back into my awareness, I realized that year felt like a contraction, like a lot of it. I got married that year, though. We went on an amazing honeymoon. It was so expansive at the start, and then after the honeymoon, we were in Maldives, my husband and I, and just bliss. It was heaven on earth, completely. And I just had this intuitive feeling. I said to my husband, when we get back, things are really going to be intense. Like, I just feel this anticipation, like there was this bubbling, and it would just be like fast forward, and it was so big, and it just felt like such a dark season to be in for me, that contraction. I can just see how much I needed to be in my darkness to surrender and let go of so much that wasn't aligned to my highest good, my highest soul. So I see now how that contraction aligns with now I'm in more of that expansion state. But then you weave in the day-to-days, and as we said, the moon cycles, and it's like another little layer of weaving. But then I also love the ability to zoom out and see the bigger themes, because it's constantly the wider and the inner, right?
Yeah. all move
Mm.
simultaneously. Like
Yeah.
it I think as we allow our consciousness to expand to the universal intelligence that's actually it's within us, but we just have to allow and open that door
Mm.
to that. More
Mm.
consciously, there's a part of our brain that needs to really, and our heart and our bodies that needs to sit comfortably with, I'm actually a lot more than what I think I am. And that's all right. I'm
Mm.
stuck in this. And I think as we, what I've noticed in the moments of incredible expansion, particularly in the meditation work where we come together in the group field, it's so amplified. And
Mm.
my body and my nervous system is getting better at integrating the light, but there was a time where it would just be like someone came in with a massive flashlight and went, okay, here, Kristen, is a whole lot of source light, a whole lot of Christ consciousness coming in to just highlight the demons that are still hiding in you. And after we've had this beautiful coming together and shining the light with each other, you're going to have to recognize the parts of you that have just gone, whoa, that was a lot of light, and I'm really angry with you because I don't get to hide anymore. I don't
Oh,
get
I
to
love
hide
that.
anymore because you've just taken in more of that light into your body. And this is where we think, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. It's like, no, this is by divine design because the
Mm.
brighter you get, the lighter you get, the deeper you go down into those dark layers of consciousness that are seeking the light, that will only come to the light when there's enough of it. And here we are in the ascension process where the light is so powerful, so much of the
Mm.
darkness is literally lifting up and out of the earth and up and out of us. So we can ascend.
Mm. If we choose to, right? If the soul's ready.
Yeah, look, it's not an easy
Mm.
process. That
Mm.
awakening into the darkness, and I think that's. I used to think back about how easy my life was when I didn't really have a full consciousness of like what I do now,
Mm.
and I was just cruising, having a great time, earning money that I spent in whichever way I liked without any awareness around it. I didn't know what poverty consciousness was. I didn't know what, like, I felt entities, but I just was like, whatever, I'll just have another glass of wine and numb my pain. And there's no judgment, by the way, because, you know, we're here to enjoy the material realm. We're here to enjoy our
Mm-hmm.
body in relationship with the, you know, the lower chakras.
Mm.
But I think it can be quite confronting as you start to feel the veils lifting from the third eye into the awareness of actually what's here in this realm.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it's quite real. Real the different portals that exists, which I feel has become more present to me, having the vocabulary now since working one-on-one with you and the workshop that you ran the other weekend on accessing the Akashic Records and just calling it out and experiences that I've had in group sessions. Yeah, being really real with the darkness and those negative energies, entities, whatever we want to call them. But then taking back power as to how can we best protect ourselves.
What I've certainly recognized in the journey that I've found myself at a point now where
Mm.
I realize how sensitive I am,
Mm.
how sensitive I've always been, but we just learn how to numb ourselves. Some of us learn how to numb ourselves because and to protect ourselves. And
Mm.
it can be a process to making peace with that sensitivity, then finding the tools and the strategies to feel safe and empowered with those activities, whilst opening up to expanding into multidimensionality, to the conscious awareness of alternate timelines, as an example, or past lives. And I don't tap in so much to the future, because in the Akashic Records, it's all about potentiality. It's about potential of possibility and what is available to us. And I think that's what kind of got me hooked in the first place, because I've always believed that we create our reality, and that's been with me as for my whole life. If I want to create something, I have to do it myself. I have to, and I think when we open ourselves up to possibility, it's about looking at, well, where is there resistance to possibility? Where is there a darkness or a fear around that potentiality? And I know that the human condition is to so easily suffer, but gratitude is so powerful when we start to find ways to feel grateful for the smaller things, so we can expand and come out of the fear, to allow ourselves to actually see what's possible. And when I started delving into the Akashic Records and seeing those entities, I thought that they were not me. They were outside of me. They were something else. And then I started to realize that's me. So I'm going to go deeper into the void, because I'm passionate about empowering people around their fears. And I remember once seeing this very dark being and thinking, oh, you're just trying to attack me or take something from me, or I need to protect myself from you because you're one of my, skeletons in the closet, so to speak, or you're something I need to protect myself from. And I'm not saying that we don't need to protect ourselves. However, it's often a message from a disconnected part of ourselves, a fragmented part of ourselves that has become so lost, but because it's still vibrating within our cellular memory, it comes to the surface for our body to process. So herein lies the beauty of the physical form. We get to feel that vibration and to process it, allowing it to surface. And a lot of people are living in past life trauma, not realizing that the fear they're experiencing, the anxiety that they're experiencing, is probably a culmination of many lives, that their nervous systems are still within. And so my anxiety has improved so much since I've started clearing in the Akashic Records, because I get to see those parts of me that are running away from a bear, that were beheaded, that were had made lots of dark agreements and running in very dark energy. And whilst I befriend them, I also release them back to the light. So I don't invite them necessarily. I integrate, but I integrate with source, with my higher self. So this is where practicing forgiveness,
Mm.
passion, and gratitude becomes easier because we can see, well, I've been the villain, I've been the demon, I've been I've been the one that's persecuted, killed, raped, pillaged, murdered, all of that, like where we can judge another human being for their experience, where they might have a soul contract to be experiencing that in this moment. And we've done that lifetimes ago. So we've transcended that. We've expanded out of that.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, really being able to meet others deeply because of integrating, embodying, accepting, as you said, those parts.
Yeah.
Seeing more of ourselves in all of the colours.
Yeah. And also
And choosing the light, though, even highlighting that, like choosing to
100
come back to the light. That needs
because
to be a clear choice.
yeah, yeah, because I don't. There are aspects of contraction that feel disconnected from source for me. So
Yeah, nice.
I check in with my inner child and where she's at, because I've realized actually it's my inner child that is the psychic.
Mm.
And
Mm.
when I'm too contracted, she is freaking out. She needs unicorn rainbows, love and light to the sunlight, and it's a balance. It's all things balance. And my return to the light is that I'm going to call it my soul's elastic band, because it's part of my soul purpose in
Mm.
this lifetime. It might have been in previous lifetimes to go out to war and do all sorts of things. I've seen myself in lots of different roles. But the earth was also, and this is something I need to explain for those kind of trying to understand their ascension journey, the earth was in a denser form 1,000 years ago, and 1,000 years prior to that, after the fall of Lemuria epoch into Atlantean epoch into Egyptian, and where we are now, it's kind of been expanded consciousness falling into density, and the earth falling into density. And as the earth falls into density, we fall into density with her. And then we're all in that dense lower chakra, understanding ourselves as consciousness. And then as we ascend, and that's what's happening, earth is ascending and we are going with her for this ride, but it's happening within us. And all the old dense timelines that she's purging are purging from us.
Mm.
Chaos and resistance that we're seeing playing out around us is the consciousness manifesting from the lower dense timelines that needs to collapse now.
Mm.
And when you come out of the judgment, it flows. When you stop judging those for their fear, for their contraction, and you just hold that consciousness for expansion and contraction when needed, but generally that expansion, because that's your soul mission. Like, we're all here for different reasons, but I like to work with those that are choosing to expand their souls, expand their consciousness, because that's where my soul wants to go.
Yeah. Mm. And then, yeah, not holding judgment for those who aren't ready in this lifetime or yet, in terms of, as you said, not judging them for where they're at, for their fears. It's holding that space. But yeah, choosing wisely where you're putting your energy and what clients you're calling in as well, because that changes a lot frequency wise.
You can't. I realize that the universe only gives me what I'm ready for.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
won't transcend a situation until I've learnt the lesson.
Mm.
I am finding it easier now because I have a greater awareness of the medicine and the lessons. And so I move through quite quickly those pain points, and I don't judge myself in the process like I used to, and
Mm.
fear and shame and guilt and
Yeah.
blame, all those lower frequency vibrations which exist in all of us to varying degrees can become
Mm.
so debilitating. Um, and I'll be honest, my children have been my greatest teachers, my greatest motivators, and my husband, because if I didn't have them loving on me, I don't think I would have gotten through some of those really, really painful places where I was just like, it's too hard. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to shut things down.
Mm.
I just want to turn
Mm.
it all off. I want to crawl under a rock. And um, I think too that some for a soul contract I've seen where we're sometimes contracted to come in for a short time and leave and
Mm.
reincarnate. And for some of us, we're able to hold the frequency of the duality for longer. And it really is our body that says yes or no, or I'm done. I need to have a rest. Um,
Mm.
and I do believe, excuse me, I've got something clearing through my throat. I do believe that it's part of our soul contract and also how strong we're feeling in our body to
Mm.
be that contracted or that expanded, and for how long. Like a lot of, um, I look at a drug addiction as an example, and I'm not an expert in this, but I've known people who haven't survived, and
Mm.
it's a very contracted state to be in. So I think, well, maybe the soul chooses to leave because it's too much.
Mm. Mm.
So if we all knew how powerful we were,
Mm.
I don't think the earth would be such an incredible school of wisdom. So that amnesia that we come to earth with, and we forget who we are as a soul, and we're born with this incredible intelligence, but then it sort of diminishes and we become, our patterns, and um, our awakening is so varied. Um, but it's
Mm.
really exciting that the earth is ascending through out of that density of the intense masculine density, that out of balance masculine density that's been our existence for so long.
Mm. Mm.
What fascinates me is those souls who are here now, expanding, transcending, and holding space to shift the collective consciousness. And, you know, this year is meant to be a very wildly spiritual year. And I think, well, this is so exciting because whilst it might feel like there's lots of turmoil and unknown and contraction and the void, there's also this light coming in that's inviting us to expand to greater possibility and to greater joy. It's just moving through
Mm.
pain, fear portal. It's like giving birth. Like as a woman and as a human, we know, we get all excited about getting pregnant. And then it's like, hold on a minute. got to give birth. And it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of full on because like we humans, we forget. Thank God we do have the amnesia. We forget about like our past lives. We forget about how amazing and incredible we are. We forget about the pain and we do it again and we go, oh, why not? Sure, I'm here to be human. To experience and I've had to look at my fear because is it, and ask myself the question, and I do this all the time, who does this belong to? Because as an empathic human, as empathically, we will take on the emotions of another and then project our emotions onto another. And I lost myself in motherhood completely. I'll be really honest. I did not know who I was. Having a newborn and then a child, every time there was a tantrum, I was having a tantrum because my inner child didn't feel safe. My inner child didn't feel safe with crying. My inner child didn't feel safe with any of the emotions. And so, that pathway has been so healing for me. I kind of wish that, and I try not to have any regrets, but I'm being really honest. I wish that I had the consciousness more acutely in my heart at the time when I started my parenting journey at the age of 32, because I probably would have been much more relaxed. And my children have inherited my nervous system as I've inherited my mother's and my grandmother's nervous system. And I see how that's actually been the ancestral trauma that's led me to the point of going, well, I don't want this to be the same for my children. And I started that when I was pregnant.
That's when you're awakening, you mentioned before, the dark night of the soul. It was when you were pregnant.
I don't think I awakened to that until after I was pregnant, when I had probably the first year of being a mum helped me look at how anxious I was.
Yeah, the mirrors.
And how I needed to get myself to connect more deeply with something outside of myself to feel safer. I'm so deeply in love with my children. They're incredible human beings, but they have their own journeys and lessons. And I made a choice. I didn't want to be a helicopter parent. And the irony is, my son has diabetes, and we all have MTHFR, so we're super sensitive, and we've got to be careful of folate and breads and all this stuff, and gluten and dairy intolerant, like on and on the list goes. So my fear of needing to protect has been manifested as this super uber sensitive existence for all of us. And I kind of wonder, if I didn't have as much fear, would there be less of that like manifestation of sensitivity? I'm still trying to figure that out, because we're co-creating with spirit, potential and possibility.
Yeah.
Can we bypass disease as we alleviate the fear and anxiety in the body that creates the trauma in the body? So I'm still pondering all of that. But I know that when I am less fearful, my children are happier.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the rock. Co-regulation. It's
That's a good word. Thank you for that.
co-regulation, yeah. Anyone though, I've looked more into Thomas Hubel. You like his work. It's on collective trauma, healing collective trauma. And he was a physician. Now he's a global speaker, and he's invented an amazing technique called CTIP, which stands for Collective Trauma Intervention Process. But essentially brings people together, and it's all about intergenerational trauma, but main events that have happened, so world wars, I'm just gone blank, but major adversities that have impacted all of us. He works with bringing out the trauma, which you've said today, the darkness, letting the pain be there, and then reintegrating it. And it's fascinating all the different modalities that exist to support that even further. And I love what you said around that swiftness, building the muscle of being able to more swiftly move from seeing your shadows and accepting these parts of you that are mirrored, because I really resonate with that as a practice tools, right? It's like going to the gym or preparing for a marathon. You can't expect to just run the marathon straight away. You've got to prepare. So the tools are sharpening. Seeing that swiftness happen has been very rewarding, but there's always a new level, which is very humbling. But in terms of his work, he speaks a lot about attunement. So with kids, your own kids, definitely, but even with strangers, even beyond our work of private clients, it's, yeah, the ability to feel so much, as you said, being such sensitive beings, but knowing that when you're in your center, in your light, your love, whatever word resonates for anyone, where they feel really in their body and strong, like empowered, you help that other person feel more regulated, because it's the vibration that you're sending out, but you're literally, there's principles that he talks about: holding space by eye contact, compassion, not jumping in, it's silence, it's just listening. And really, we can adapt and apply all these amazing tools and gifts that we all have to help one another, particularly in the healing field. But I've just seen a lot of the time it's listening, it's heart listening, it's heart sentience of transmuting, it's like letting it be seen, which is so beautiful because that's so feminine and honoring of the earth, I feel, in the simplicity. And yeah, we don't need to be more, do more half the time. It's simple foundations. So even me, what's come through with that, it's reminding myself of back what you said, the gratitude and the breathing it in. I love saying that. Like I breathe it in, just like the breeze, like soaking it in. And a new affirmation I've been saying, and I shared with my husband yesterday, was around abundance and money. And when money comes in, or you share money, or you make money, you say yummy.
Totally.
So that's part of my new money rules for the family.
Yeah, well, we have
Whenever
a
that's
relationship with money, right?
yeah,
Relationship.
everything's a vibration.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I just want to touch very quickly on the work of this man that you're talking about, because I'm so intrigued by that. In the records, in the Akashic Records, I will see where there are souls trapped in the land. So where you've had a lot of souls dying in one place, creates a heaviness of density on the earth that in the records I'll see where, like, let's say you've been a warrior in one of the world wars, and in you is the need for forgiveness and transcendence. And as that forgiveness and expansion and transcendence takes place, you're able to actually release that frequency for a large group of souls. And it releases from the land simultaneously. So what you're talking about with collective consciousness makes sense to me, because the intensity of vibration We're so powerful. Human beings are so powerful, and in groups, so powerful.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Those connections with that, collective work, and reminding us all of working community, coming together, not here to do it solo, which I remember when I let myself receive more of that, knowing I was safe to trust others more and more so, using my discerning powers still, but from my heart, letting my body lead more than my head, because I used to hold so much fear and anxiety myself because I didn't feel safe in my body. There was a lot of healing that needed to happen and just seeing and loving. But as soon as I allowed more of that, and that's over a number of years as it slowly unfolds, feeling the layers when you're ready, the more I've allowed more people in, and the more I've felt the power of community and wanting to cultivate that too, and holding the vision of what that looks like for our wider world, which feels really important. Mm.
Yeah, it's leading us all back to healing, I think, isn't it? To
Yeah,
there
for
being
all of each other.
a connected way, like deepening our connection, which is an irony during this, age of Aquarius, if that's what we're in,
Yeah.
with technology. And um, I just think it's incredible that we can, you and I, connect now in this way. So technology is a blessing as well, even though it does take us away from ourselves. But that connection that I think we're beginning to understand more as essential,
Mm.
in our heart consciousness, to feel another human being is just, in an empowering way. It's for me the joy of being in a human body.
Mm. I agree. And that's courageous in itself, right? Because some people may choose to stay in a dissociated way, a trap trauma, vanilla, people could call it, surface level people that are just quite robotic on the outside. But then as you journey deep within and connect with land and spirit and in all the beautiful ways that you can connect, you reach more of yourself, come back within. And that is the biggest blessing, to be embodied in a body, because without the body, the soul, we wouldn't be able to feel the soul. Hence why I'm so passionate about somatic healing and breath work and EMDR, clearing in a very physical, conscious way that resonates with the consciousness, but then bridging it to the higher realms like Akashic Records, and playing with all these different layers to meet what comes through and all the different people, but also myself, right? As you said, the many parts of us. It's really a journey to embrace.
I
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, I I was having a funky day yesterday,
Mm.
and I was listening to, and I can't remember his name, so I apologize, but his work is beautiful, and he was talking about all the little selves that are needing to come into the awareness of the bigger self, or all as one, unified
Mm.
spirit, and all those separate parts. And that as we trust ourselves to come into that unity, that it just becomes easier in those parts that
Mm.
might have rejected within ourselves to just come home.
Mm.
Um, but I was all right being in a funky mood for a few hours. Like, I'll be honest, I've kind of come to the conclusion I need to let myself feel human and have those emotions to go deeper into understanding what's there within me. The work never stops. It's not like you transcend yourself to guru status and sit on a mountain, because that doesn't work either. Like, it's chop wood and carry water. And there's moments where, like, there's been moments where I have had to really face myself in very unpleasant ways. But I'm grateful for that. And I've been that I've been that disconnected, disassociated. I had a shopping addiction for like a very good most of my life, until I realized, well, I've been a stylist because that helped justify my shopping addiction. But so I have a lot of compassion for codependency and addiction, because it's a very big part of my life. It's just become a conscious part of my life as opposed to an unconscious part of my life. So I don't feed it unconsciously anymore.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You've set it more free and you're aware of your cues, and that's how you implement changes, right? If you're wanting to change the habit.
Yeah, and I think, coming back to the question about my children, I need to let them experience life. And that's something I've really had to take a very good look at recently. Trust their falls as being what are part of their soul's existence to experience life. And I have my Feng Shui to help support us energetically at home, and my Reiki and Akashic Records. But ultimately, it's not for my soul to judge or manipulate their experience from pain. And that's been my awakening in duality recently. Like darkness and light. And I feel like the lighter I become, the more aware of the darkness I become.
Yeah. Think of trees. The taller the tree, the deeper the roots.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
The higher, the taller they are, they're reaching more of the heavens, the higher realms, but their roots run deep. But also I love it because underneath the ground, which we can't see, it can sense when you tune into it, is they all connect. They all have each other. Like the signals of, if one tree's sick, they will send healing energy. I remember getting so emotional when I learned that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So within the depths, knowing we have each other, knowing there is support in many different ways.
Yeah. There's been some profound rose medicine coming to me. Nature teaches us so much. And with roses, the way that they have the bud, and they're held and protected and then safe to open, but there are the thorns. The reminder of the need to have that self boundary and the space that might be required to bloom or to remain as a bud. It's just when we sit with nature, like what you're talking about with the trees all connected, and I think there's such an intelligence there that does remind us that love exists in everything. And there's messages all around us if we are open to seeing what it is. And like we have a lot of spiders where we are. We've got a lot of bush around us. And I was looking at the spider's web in the rain, and I could see how beautiful the spider's web was with all this rain all over it. And that it was like a message of choose between beauty or fear. Because the spider isn't here to scare us necessarily, but it's an interconnectedness, the web, like the frequency, the vibration. And my daughter's terrified of spiders. And I don't necessarily want too many of them in the house, but I'm learning to love them more and more here because they are around us. It's like don't fight against it, flow and surrender and look for what it is that can bring the beauty to what the experience is. So I've been looking at the beauty of these, and the spiders are like this, they're massive, right? They're big. And I'm thinking that spider web is incredible, and the resistance, sorry, the resilience. Their web gets broken and they start and they build all over again. And I guess we're taught by nature, by animals as well, like to get out of our heads and just trust in what we feel. And you know, we're the only animal that stress about things and have a nervous system, aren't we? Is that right? Excuse me.
We're the most advanced in terms of our cognitive functioning, so to turn against ourselves psychologically. Yes, we don't have tigers and lions running after us anymore like our ancestors did, but within we create our own fears. So it's not just what's happening around you, it's how you're speaking to yourself. Like I said before, that self-criticism, self-sabotage, that's a threat. Your nervous system will think you are under attack. And the problem is, in modern day society, it's constant. Phones, distraction, numbing. It's not helping our bodies regulate and be grounded and build that trust to realize we're safe, to realize thoughts are just thoughts, and to learn things to reintegrate, re-regulate, but to know dysregulation is also part of us, part of growth. We talk about window of tolerance in breath work, reaching new edges, and that window of tolerance is really the new edge outside of the safe zone, the rest and digest, the parasympathetic, but reaching the sympathetic, which is your stress zone. That's where your body thinks a tiger's running after you, so you go in fight or flight. But resilience is linked to building that window of tolerance, because the more capacity you build within your body, your system, to be more embodied and hold more light and love, life throws bigger lemons, can make more lemonade.
Totally.
Quicker. Because you're doing that work, you're expanding while stabilizing. I'd rather stabilizing than contraction. I'll sit with if there's a meaning to that. Maybe a denial no of that word. But yeah, I find the way we're wired so fascinating, and that growth aspect, but then weaving in with the compassion and the yin energy of, yeah, I'm going to have my days. And I love how you said embracing your funk. I feel like my husband's helped me do that over the many years we've been together. I used to bypass a lot, and then he'd say, babe, you're human. It's okay. Because I used to be so hard on myself. And just sitting with it, yeah. Like, it actually feels really good to be really shitty about something and not be the one to lead in a way. Like, let me have a break. Let me be human. Playing out.
It's Mother Nature. It's the mother energy when you can allow all things to just be and trust. I mean, aren't we being asked collectively on the planet to trust in this unknown time? we're being asked to really open collectively to the unknown, personally to the unknown. And it's scary and confronting. And trust is the many layers. You know, you talk about the onion. Like, I feel like my sacral went through so many layers of awareness of mistrust and how do I mean, last year we moved. My daughter graduated from school. My stepfather passed away. I had so much stuff happen, and I was just continually being brought into initiations of trust. And the magic was all within it, but then so were all those moments of, you know, just coming up against growth edges and, you know, I might call it timeline jumping. You know, when just before we're about to shift into a really new, exciting expansion, we'll come up against those parts of ourselves where we're still like, no, I can't do this. This is too hard. And, you know, most people would just shut down, and then that's it. It just remains. They remain at that point. They're capped. That's their threshold. Whereas I'm a hardcore maverick. I'm like, no, we got to go higher. We can go higher. We can go bigger. Why not? But it's just your nervous system is then playing catch up, isn't it? Your body, nervous system, kind of going, well, actually, I was at this level of consciousness, and now I need to expand up into a higher level of consciousness, and my nervous system is still operating at one point. And that's where I love breath work, and I did Qigong this morning, and that was amazing. And I love meditation and moving your body and sitting on the beach and listening to sound, because I don't want to be limited by my nervous system.
Beautiful. Choosing the higher path, I call it. And that's why, that stabilizing of the energy is so important, that grounding, the anchoring, the integrating. Because many who are so growth oriented can just, and I can see how I was like this too, determined and so ambitious, beautiful qualities I hold. But every quality, every strength that we hold, I believe, can be overplayed. And it was overplayed by going ham, thinking, yeah, I can just do all these things and not rest and integrate. Because really what was happening is it wasn't sticking. It's like the thin needle. You're not laying horizontally. I learned this with the Magdalens, Ascended Masters. If you're not laying horizontally enough, how can your body widen and digest the energies that you're wanting to expand? You end up being a contracted needle still. And that's where we can say spiritual bypassing and don't rush your healing, and hardcore people that are just like ayahuasca every weekend but not resting in between. It's dangerous. It really is, because you can fry, just like Kundalini. I loved Kundalini. I did it hardcore, but I wasn't letting it just like be enough. And can get really intense. You can become a cuckoo. With compassion, like not calling anyone names or having a go. This is parts of myself that I've learned to love and notice the cues of if that were to happen, like, okay, I see what comes up in me, that eagerness, but is that like a embodied eagerness? Is it like a fear because you want to run away from something you're not ready to face? Those questions.
Yeah. That's it. Understanding the intentions.
Yeah, intention. Beautiful.
You know, I think we're here to experience ourselves and those around us. And what I've been looking at is, where am I afraid to love myself more? And
Love that.
can I rest? Where can I rest in more love. Like
Mm.
receive more love. And because last year was the year of the dragon, and I have a dragon that sits in my physical form.
Mm.
I needed to rest. I had no choice. That in those moments of yang doing masculine energy, I needed to rest, really rest in the feminine, come back to my body. And whilst it was very challenging, I had to rest. Otherwise, I just couldn't mother or partner or show up as a healer because my body just was too tired.
Yeah.
And I think eventually it does catch up with us if we're running away from something, even if we're doing it in the spiritual path. You know,
yeah, you feel it in others too, yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And getting still with yourself is actually really hard.
What just came in getting still with yourself to get real with yourself. Get still to get real. You. Yeah. I had to share that.
Anyway, I think I've embodied the sloth. I've noticed actually I'm coming back to that expansion again, talking about balance and the feminine, the masculine, the yin and the yang, because this year is like, Kristen, you need to move. You need to like feel in your body and let that movement, because you know so much of the psychic can be up here in the head. Like I could sit in meditation all day long. But I'm very grateful that I actually have dinner that needs making, washing that needs doing, practical stuff.
You don't live in a cave this lifetime. Yeah.
No, I'm good. Like a dog that needs walking, or a cat that, like, I'm okay with that day-to-day stuff. I'm like good with that. I don't need to be surrounded by a palace full of people to take care of me so that I can do nothing. I've come to the conclusion I actually really like coming back to my body and doing simple things. And that's probably why I like food so much, because it just brings me back.
Yeah, feel ya. One of the finest life pleasures, in my opinion.
100%.
Oh, yum. Yeah. Well, I feel like we could just keep talking for hours and hours.
The battery on my laptop is actually about to expire. So you picked up on that intuitively.
I set the intention of 45-minute session, and then I was like, all right, I can't stop it now though. So I just surrendered, trusting, and I'm so glad that we've flown together.
Thank you, Olivia. I feel excited to be here with you, my soul sister.
Yeah.
Stay curious is all I can say. If anyone wants to talk, be curious. You never know.
And have a laugh, hey?
That's it.
Yeah.
Curious and not too serious.
Yeah, there's another one. Stay curious, not too serious. What was the other one? Something about be still and keep it real. Boom, we should start a rap.
That's it. And just say it over and over again until your mind gets it.
Yeah, until you embody it. Well, thank you everyone who have tuned in. Any comments or feedback, drop them in the comment section. But we'll be in touch soon. Take care, everyone.